Welcome back to the Motherly Shift podcast. I'm your host, Kim Michelle, and this podcast is dedicated to exploring the unique and complex relationships between African American mothers and daughters. In this new series of episodes, we're diving into the extremes these relationships can take, the challenges, the triumphs, and the transformative journeys they inspire. In today's episode, I'm honored to introduce Tana, a remarkable woman with a powerful story. Tana and I had a deeply honest and unfiltered conversation about her relationship with her mother, one that has profoundly shaped her personal growth, family dynamics, approach to parenting, and her choices in partners and spouses. Tune in as we unpack how this relationship continues to impact Tana's life and the important lessons she's learned along the way. So tell me your story. Start from the beginning. I've taken all this time to
No,
talk
you're fine. You're fine.
myself,
I ain't in no big
but
hurry.
I'm so excited to hear your story, however you want to tell it, and I'm gonna ask crazy questions.
Well, I want you to, because that'll help me guide me on what I want to talk about. Um, I always start out a story with my mama was pregnant at 14. So I always start there because my mama wasn't a college graduate. She didn't, aspire to do anything. She was a very spoiled little girl because she was adopted at about 6 months old from my grandparents. My grandmama was in that era of when they was giving women, black women especially, hysterectomy really fast.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
nowadays you can have those heavy periods and they'll find all these different ways to try to slow them down.
Right.
But back then they were giving black women hysterectomy. So my grandma had a hysterectomy in her 30s.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So she immediately, some of the stuff I found out as she was dying, people in the family started sharing stuff that they never shared with us before. Because my grandma,
Next one, but go ahead.
okay, so I know that she danced. It wasn't because I knew she was dancing, but by the time I got at that middle school age, I knew, like I said, we're from a small community, so I would hang around. I've always been a guy's girl. Like I always had a lot of guy friends who also had older guy friends. Because a lot of my guy friends in my neighborhood started selling drugs real young. Because a lot of parents in my area were not parents. All of them had kids young. So the grandmamas was doing a lot of the raising.
Yeah.
Everybody went on no drugs
So
and alcohol like my mama.
common.
It was
for the
very common
neighborhood
in
for
my
grandmothers.
area to be
Because
raised by
that's
their
what I was gonna ask. What were your thoughts? Like, why would you be living with? But you were there in the house with the violence and the arguing, so
Yeah.
you kind of understood. That's why you were rich grandma.
Right, right.
But what were your thoughts about your mom? Do you remember?
I remember wanting to love her.
Uh-huh.
I remember loving her. I remember wanting her to love me. Lord, I don't want to get too emotional today so quick. So I can remember like she was so pretty. Like just, she was one of those ladies that she walked into school, you would hear all the boys saying, whose mama is that? And I would be so excited to be like, that's my mama. I was always a little chunky girl. Self-esteem, probably very early on, wasn't very good because I was a big girl and because didn't, she didn't make me feel pretty. So she would actually say little stuff. That's why I said that jealousy can come early. And I mean, I took her place with my grandmama. My grandmama spoiled her. And I'll tell you the truth, I didn't live a bad life with my grandmama. Like what was bad to me was what I was dealing with internally. But having what I needed, my grandparents provided it, especially my grandmama.
And that's so interesting you say that, Tana, because my mom is a very petite
Okay,
woman.
okay,
And then there was me. So my
okay,
mom, at best, was probably 5'2".
okay,
But even though she was petite, she was extremely shapely
okay,
and real cute. Like she
okay.
would get the same
Uh-huh.
situation.
Yep.
I would get upset when we would go to the mall together because boys would be trying to hit on her.
Yeah, yep.
And then there's me, and I'm, at best 5'6", but I was
Okay.
chunky, I was dowdy, I was uncomfortable in my own skin. And then there's
Right.
my cute, petite mom
Yeah.
who used to be like, well, don't eat that. You're gaining weight. I can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And it's
And that'll break
like,
you down very early if your
yes.
mama is the one saying it.
And I know her intentions were good.
Right.
She meant well,
Right.
but
But
it
but it
hurt.
but it hurt. That's what I have to even try to be mindful of that with my daughters right now, because I've always been a heavy woman. Their daddy on his side is a lot of big women, and I be just trying to keep the girls. I try to keep them mindful because it tore me apart to be overweight. Like, and I look at some women now and I be like, these girls are some big girls, but
They
they
hit that
so
one.
confident.
Yes.
And I just wish I had that back then. But I can remember wanting to do certain things and she would say slick stuff. I was like, I wanted to be a cheerleader one time. And I remember learning this cheer and I couldn't wait to come show her the cheer. And when I was jumping in the house, she goes, oh, you're shaking the whole house. And it intimidated me and I never went out for the cheer.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So it was things like that. But I can also remember because um, she would go out to party, she always would wear a full face of makeup. So I can remember standing in the bathroom. I can remember this so vividly when I don't remember a lot of things, but I can remember standing there watching her do her makeup and just admiring her the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
If she wanted to fix me up real pretty, she would. Like she would fix my hair real pretty. And I can remember sometime it would be the day before picture day or the day before Easter, and she would do things to my hair to make to doll me up. But then I also can remember the older I got, for those picture days, she might put some rollers in my hair and leave. And I would wake up the next morning and she's not there to do my hair. So I would be so scared. It got to the point that if she would leave, when she was about to do these fancy things in my hair for the next day, I would just take it down that night and figure out what I could do to it because I knew she wasn't coming back. She would disappear. My grandmama was not good at no hair.
Yeah.
So by fifth grade, my grandmama was starting to take me to the salon because she was like, I don't want my baby crying to go to school because her hair would, I was like, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to look so ugly. And so she started getting my hair done really early because my mama had got to where she wasn't dependable. But I did look up to her and I thought she was a beautiful woman. But I don't ever really ever, if she ever called me pretty, I don't remember it back then. Now, even in my adult life, she'd be like, Boo, where you finna go? I hear them heels coming down the stairs. Let me see what you look like. And those times, as an adult, she would tell me I look nice. But growing up, she reminded me that I was fat. She reminded me that some of the little boys probably weren't gonna want me because I was fat. And then so during you going through a puberty, then the boys didn't want you because you were fat. So you had to hear the boys telling you that, and then you didn't get it at home either. And then you being raised by old school women, my grandmama wasn't trying to beat my self-esteem down, but old women just tell you how it is.
Yeah, they do.
And it wasn't even in no ugly way. I could sit next to her. She could be on the phone with her sister, and I even get tickled by it. Now she would be on the phone with my grandmama, be like, my grandmama's name was Inell. My grandmama's sister's name was Irene, and they called each other Nell and Reen. And she would be like, Reen, you should see this girl leg. These the biggest leg I ever seen. And it's so funny because to her they were pretty, but somebody dealing with self-esteem issues, it was hard. But when I would get around Reen be like, oh yeah, them the big and pretty legs. I said, but to them, it's like humongous. But to them, it was pretty, but not to me, because I didn't want to hear that because I always felt like my rejection.
Yourself to your mom.
Right. I always felt like my rejection with relationships and everything was my weight. It could have been my attitude. They might not have liked me, but I didn't think about that. It was how big I was. If I got rejected in any kind of way, I always thought it was related to weight, and it started with her not reminding me that I'm beautiful and that I was pretty or that people would accept me that way, And then it was probably her lack of self-esteem that made me feel bad, because really you had me at an age that I probably should have been your little sister rather than your daughter. And it was just tumultuous from then on.
And then how much did she really know? Like, I guess at a young age, is your worth tied up in how you look and how
Right,
people treat you?
right.
And if that's her experience and all she knows, and I'm just putting the pieces together. Please,
Yeah.
I'm not putting words
I'm
in your
trying to
mouth or
put
giving
pieces
you,
together to this
and
day.
I'm not putting words in your story.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, so she had you young,
Mm-hmm.
and shortly thereafter she was dancing. So, and you said clearly she's a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's where her worth was lying.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
men came first, period. Honestly, my mama probably would have 10 kids if I hadn't made her get her tubes tied after Aaliyah.
You made your mom get her
Tubes tied. I was the oldest of 6.
Yeah.
I was 27 by the time she had Aaliyah.
Okay.
So which means Chris was 7.
Yeah.
And you had a grandchild, and you had 2 more kids after your grandchild. So I was like, okay, this is enough. You can need tube tied, because in my mind, if my grandmama passed away, I'm going to be stuck with these kids, which is what happens. So I made her get her tubes tied. But my mama has evidence of every relationship she ever been in. She got a child with them. The only 2 people that don't know who their father is her oldest child, which is me, and her youngest child, which is Aaliyah. But with me, she was real young, promiscuous. I still don't know the story. I got people coming up to me to this very moment, even as of last night at the Mexican, want us to do DNA because they daddy told them that I might be their child, they sibling. And my baby sister, by the time my baby sister was born, she was full speed addict and alcoholic. So I don't know if she was sleeping with men for money and different things like that. So Aaliyah don't know who her daddy is, and I don't know who my daddy is. The other kids are kind of lucky that they got me, because I know who their daddies are.
Yeah.
But, and my brother, of course, she married my brother's daddy, the one that's right under me.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody else, I can pinpoint their daddy, but not us 2. So the whole ancestry thing and all that is on my list to do some stuff, because my bloodline stops with her, because she was adopted, and then I don't know who my biological dad is. I have no idea. I could be done dated a brother and don't even know it.
So, what is the age difference between you and your siblings?
Okay, so I'm 47 right now. I got a brother that's 45, and then there was a gap. So then I got a sister that is 34. She was born in 88.
Okay.
And then I got another sister that is 32.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another gap. And then I got a little brother now that's 24, and then the 22-year-old sister.
You have a 22-year-old sister.
I was 27 when she was born. Yep.
And
all from my mother.
Your mom?
So everybody except me and my brother, for real, the ones that's right here, me and us in our 40s, we always were primarily with our grandmama.
Mm-hmm.
All the rest of them, she tried to have them. Tiana, the one that's mid-30s, she was with her a lot, but she was her grandmama's baby. When Tiana came along, we actually was happy to have a little sibling. That's our little sister. She was our little princess. To the point, even now, Facebook name is like Princess Tiana. She was so pretty that everybody even got to the point she didn't even tell people thank you no more. It was like, I know, I'm pretty. Like, we were so happy to have this little, I was 12, my brother was 10, and she came along and she cheered for the family flame. She always wanted a little homecoming queen, like just a pretty little spoiled brat.
Yeah.
And she got to the point that we couldn't do nothing with her. She had got pretty wild. So we was happy about her. But then I hit 16, and here comes Tana. And I'm like, wait a minute now, she was so drunk That's a running joke. Even in the family now, Devonna laughed about it. She was so drunk when she was in labor with Devonna that she had Devonna at the house, and I was catching her head as the fire department was coming in. And I never forget, my grandmama was so nonchalant about stuff, and she'll say, I remember telling Tana, because I was always a room homebody in my room. I stayed back there in my room. Tana, come here. I come out, she said, listen to this fool. This is talking about my mama, because my mama would get drunk, come in, raise hell all night, keep everybody up all night. She said, listen to this fool. She's so drunk, she don't know she in labor. She said, listen to her. She said she gonna grunt in between sentences. And I sat there, she'd be like, y'all motherfucker, like literally.
So it never even entered my mind,
Yeah,
for real, that, okay, she was an addict.
yeah.
And while she was pregnant, she was drinking.
And probably doing drugs. Yeah. And what's so funny, my sister is like 6'1", well, like a 13 in women. The biggest one, we call her Baby D, because you like, even my brother say, I ain't trying to be scared of my big little sister, because she that one.
Uh-huh.
And but 5 pound baby, 5 pound baby. And I can remember her going to that back room and literally, like, this baby coming. And I was like, Grandmama, call 911. And as the baby coming out, I'm grabbing her head.
And you were 16.
16.
That's a lot at 16.
And I can remember the fire. And I even tell people all the time, so they took credit for delivering that baby. I delivered that baby because he was like, I got her. And he moved me over. 16. So there was this thing going around one time, like, I'm so fair, but I did this, or I'm so fair, but I did that. And my sister said, I'm so fair, I was born in the house on the street, And I never forget, they put her in what looked like almost looked like aluminum foil.
Yeah.
And me and my grandma followed the ambulance to South Fulton. And I tell people, if it wasn't for that baby, there probably wouldn't be no Chris. Because when when she came along, my mama would leave a lot in the street. So my grandma might wake up and be like, Tana, this fool didn't come back home. And I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
And so I had to stay home with that baby. So if my grandma didn't go to work, we wasn't gonna eat.
Right.
So I would stay home a lot to keep Devonna.
When you should have been in school.
When I should have been going to school. I would wake up, need to go to school, couldn't go to school, so I can keep Devonna. So I failed a lot of my 10th grade classes. So when I got back to my junior year, I started saying, because not only did I miss school a lot to keep Devonna, but then I was chasing boys at that time. I would skip school and stuff too as well. Failed a lot of classes, but something I had to come to my senses my junior year. I said, I don't want to disappoint my grandmama. My grandmama dealt with so much from my mama. I did not want to disappoint her. Yeah. I needed to graduate high school. So I buckled down.
Who's still that in you, though?
Just me. My grandmama didn't.
Just paying attention.
Just saying, no, this is what I want in my life. I don't want to not graduate. And I just pulled myself out. I started working at 16 right away. That Derek went in and he said it. And I said, I want to graduate high school. I'm not going to not graduate. Like, that ain't me, Yeah. And I started buckling down to school, went to extended day, summer school. I went to summer school. My senior year, my counselor gave me a lot of those 10th grade classes that I failed. And Chris Daddy was in those classes. So I tell people, I said, that's how I got with Randy. Because Randy was, I'll tell people, don't let him fool you now. He knew more than me. But he was in 10th grade. And I graduated, in a few months. I got pregnant on my birthday. I remember that. Like October, I was pregnant. I had Chris in July. And that was right after I graduated. And he was going into his senior year of high school. So Devonna, being home with her and having to keep her, so she always was like my baby. Like, it was almost like I was 16 with a baby. Yeah. If I wanted to hang with my friends, sometimes I had to take her. She would be riding around, and it was back before car seats and everything. We back there. Somebody might be in the back seat holding her.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are so many different directions.
Yes, it is. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm just surprised that, were you completely freaked out when you found out you were pregnant?
No,
Did you want to be a mom?
I kind of did.
Even after raising your siblings?
Well, at this time, it was just Tiana and Devonna,
Uh-huh.
and my grandmama was very healthy.
Okay.
So although I helped a lot with them, I didn't feel they were like bona fide my responsibility. But I wanted to be loved, and and the thing is, when I think back to mature Tana, no, I was loved. My grandmama was the bomb.
Yeah.
She was the bomb, but I wanted that motherly love
Seeking it from your mom.
from my mama. And then I always felt rejected from boys. So I knew, I said, I want me a baby.
So
I needed somebody to
equating
love me.
sex with love.
At first, I did.
That's the same mistake I made.
Yeah,
I'll
at
be
first I
honest
did.
with you.
Yeah.
At one point, because I was promiscuous
Okay.
early on. I would say mostly when I was in the military, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
But somehow in my mind, I put together that if I want a boy/relationship,
Yeah.
this is what they want,
And you got to give it
and
to
I
them.
need to give it to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is so sad.
It is. It's so crazy.
It's the
Like
saddest thing ever.
the best thing is for them to get to know you as a friend so that they would yearn for that friendship.
Right.
But I didn't know that.
Right.
And my first couple of encounters with boys that was young and they just was ready to do it for the
Yeah.
first time. They didn't care who it was with.
Yeah.
And then they reject you after.
Yeah.
So then I started flipping it
Yeah.
to the point, and I flipped it for a long time, meaning I was almost like the guy in the relationship. I would sleep with him and not call him again.
Right.
I didn't care. I always was ready for that rejection. So before they could reject me, I rejected them.
So even knowing how your mom was, you still, that was still what was going through your mind.
Through my mind. Yeah. And the thing is, it's crazy because I knew my mama was promiscuous because she was having a lot of children with different men, but I never thought about that as it relates to my life at the time.
Yeah.
I only was, if you put it together now with a mature mind, I was looking for love in all the wrong places or hoping people love me. When I had Chris, I wanted a baby. You know, with Randy, it is now. You be like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew she trapped me. He swear, yeah, she trapped me, man. She trapped me. And because I was on birth control when I got with Randy. My mama made me get on birth control when she found out I was having sex.
So your mom made you get on birth control,
Yeah.
but she wasn't on birth control?
No.
Okay, we're going
She
to come
made-
back
yeah.
to that, but go ahead.
She made me get on birth control when I first, my grandmama was a Christian lady. I was afraid to tell my grandmama I was having sex, but because of my mama's lifestyle, I wasn't afraid to tell her.
Right.
So I went to her when I first had sex because not necessarily my first encounter, but when I actually had sex with my high school boyfriend, it was the first time I saw things that I didn't see when I first had it. It made me scared I was going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Back then, I did not want to get pregnant. And she put me on birth control. I'm going to put you on birth control. But see, my mama was the type of person, if she got drunk, after you done confided in her, she'll tell the whole house.
No.
So I could go to her and say, hey, mama, you know, I done had sex. I'm scared, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I'm going to put you on some birth control. But then you come in the house a few days later after a drunken episode, yeah, this bitch already fucking. And I have to put on birth control. Da, da, da. And so I was always bitch, fat bitch, da, 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 through most of my childhood from her. So, and even then, you know, I had to get numb to it. And, you know, and my grandmama, I realized later on, my grandmama was super cool as a Christian lady, very authentic. She wasn't judgy. And I found out that the older I got, but at first I was scared to tell her because I was the type of child that when the church doors was open, I was there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about all week revivals. She took communion people on Sundays after church. My grandmama was a bona fide Christian that you don't see nowadays.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she'll spend a whole day like this visiting sick and shut in and taking them communion and going and praying with them. But she wasn't so overly Christian that she was not cool.
Right.
And I had to learn later on, my grandmama was cool.
Right.
But, and all my friends would sit and listen to her talk about stories. But it took me a while and I had to stop telling my mama my business And I told my grandmama.
Yeah.
But my mama did put me on birth control to keep me from, because my first time having sex, I was 14 at the age she got pregnant at. So she did rush to put me on. And I told Randy I was on birth control. And I was, at this time, I started being unstable on the birth control. I did not deliberately get pregnant, but when I got pregnant, I actually was slick happy
Yeah.
because I wanted somebody to love me for real, that I knew that would love me for real. And Chris, absolutely, like he came out loving his mama. Like, always was a mama's boy. Like he was that bad little feisty little jelly. He the person he is now, but just a little version. Old soul, people are, always good kid. But I could be crying. I can remember at 6, 7 months old, if I was sitting there crying, he'll crawl up to me and lay a little mouth on me like he was trying to kiss me. Or he could be one. And if he saw tears drop out my eyes, he know what was going on. Tears would drop out of his eyes.
And that's how my daughter was.
Really?
I remember when I had gotten divorced, and by this time that we actually got divorced here in Fulton County.
Really?
We were living in Alpharetta.
Okay.
And within 3 months, I got laid off, divorced, and had to file bankruptcy.
Wow.
And then I just tucked tail and went back to Ohio.
Okay.
And my mom was like, "You can't live with me.
Really?
I need you to be a strong woman, and you're going to figure it out."
Oh, my goodness.
So I had to get an apartment, and it was really, really hard.
Yes.
And I was still really broken because of the divorce.
Yeah.
And, nobody gets married to get divorced.
No,
so
they don't.
even when the divorce is a good idea, it never really still feels good.
It don't feel good.
And I just remember, so we were in this, I was able to get us a 3-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
So that my son can have a room, my daughter can have a room, and I can have my own.
Okay.
It was a really nice apartment. But I just remember sitting on the edge of the bed and just having a complete breakdown.
Yeah.
And my daughter at 2, she may have been 3 at this point, because my son was 1. So they're about 25 months apart. And she came and sat next to me and just patting and rubbing my back like, "It's going to be okay, Mommy. It's going to be okay." And that just made me cry harder.
Because I'm about to cry right now.
3-year-old little girl.
Oh,
Why are you consoling your mom?
Right.
Like, that's heartbreaking.
Right.
Like, I shouldn't even be
But
showing
we're
you
not
this.
robots. And I would tell my friends this all the time. We're not robots. We're human.
Right.
And even in raising our children, there are things in life that we're still learning.
Yeah.
And nothing is going to be perfect. You know what I mean? But it's a beautiful thing when you know that your child can feel, as a woman, you always think you want your first child to be a little girl. I want to be a little girl. I want to be a little girl. But that was the best gift that, even to this day, that's the best gift Randy could have gave me.
Yeah.
Because he's always been so wonderful. You know what I mean? Like he really gave me more purpose. I tell people, before depression was a real thing that people talk about like they do now, I was always depressed. Always was depressed. In my mind, I never really wanted to live. Like, I can remember through most of my teenagehood, I was okay with dying if I died. I never wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
I would tell people I wanted to kill myself, I think sometimes for attention. But I didn't necessarily want to be alive. So it could be like, if I died, it's okay, But when Chris came, I didn't want to die no more. I wanted to be his mom. So he just gave me a reason to live.
Yeah.
And a reason to be the mother that I wanted for myself. And I'm not saying, I know I ain't been perfect. Sometimes I cry because I didn't give him the life I wish I could have.
Yeah.
And give me a second.
Take your time.
But he gave me so much reason to just be. He gave me a reason to fight, to be here. And he just loved me. I ain't turned my mic off, did I? He just loved me, like, through what I felt like was failures. he loved me anyway. Sometimes I still feel like I'm failing. And he loved me anyway. And he give me a reason to just keep going. Like the girls, them little spoiled things, you know. Like, but he like, I always still care what Chris think, because he gave me reason to keep going. And I try not to burden him down with stuff, but he still is my best friend, you know. I'll call him and I'll just tell him some stuff, and sometimes I'll be like, should I be telling him this? Because he got his own stuff. You know, but he always, like, he gave me purpose. He was always a good child. And even my mama tried to be a grandmama at first to him. Like, for a few minutes, I can remember her coming and saying, you know, he could whimper. And at this point, we was all living in the same house. And he could whimper, and I'll hear us, I got him. And she'll get up and take him to the room. And it did my heart some good to see her actually try to be a grandmama when she never was really a mama. And he always had a head full of hair, so she would braid his hair. And he used to be, you know, when she would go through her spells and showing out, I can remember him saying, y'all leave my grandmama alone. You know, he loved her. And it took him a long time to understand who she really was. And after, when she finally disappointed him, she tried for a long time not to disappoint him, even though he knew her. She tried for a long time not to show him what she was showing the rest of us. But after a while, she couldn't hide it no more, you know. But he did give me reason to not want to die, not want to just not be here. Because I didn't understand. Like, my mama would get drunk and remind me that when she tried to have an abortion, it was just too late. I tried to get rid of it, but it was too late. She'll say that to me now.
I was going to ask you, what's your relationship right now?
We don't have one.
This episode explores how childhood trauma from an absent, critical mother shaped Tana's relationships, self-worth, and parenting approach. Today, Tana and her mother have no relationship, but through her son's unconditional love, she found purpose and the strength to break generational cycles of dysfunction. Please join us next week as we continue with part 2 of Tana's story here on the Motherly Shift podcast. I'm Kim Michelle. Thanks so much for listening.